And one of the things they pointed out right there was, again, the same thing they point out every time. In the school system, guess what you see? You see everybody the same, and therefore the choices are eliminated. And why is it that every time we get anywhere where there's an error, in anything that isn't working, there's always the elimination of choices? It's like, what is this? Somebody sits down and says, where can we stop choices from being made? Don't ask that question. Don't even go there. So they say, if not us, then who should make the rules? The do-gooders might ask. If not the do-gooders, then who should be making the rules? Well, first they say, try the resources you throw away because they're too old. Oh, boy. Try the old people's warehouse. They know a whole lot more than you do. Next, try electing the wiser rather than the wealthy. Though how you'd get a wise person to run for office is beyond us. Perhaps after enough changes are made in the government system, the para-wise person might try. What is a para-wise person? A person that's somewhat wise might take a shot at it, and then if the somewhat wise person makes a success of it, perhaps the wise would. That's what they're saying. Another thought, they say, why do you suppose we now elect the wealthy? Could it be because we believe the wealthy know the most about dominion? If they can make money, they must be wise? If I elect them, maybe some of that money will rub off on me? Think about what you've been taught. Here again, there's these places all the time where they just throw things out. Why do you suppose we elect the wealthy? Could it be because we believe the wealthy know the most about dominion, and if they can make money, must they be wise? They know the most about dominion. They know the most about getting to the top of bureaucracy. We honor those people at the top of our bureaucracies, and what? They don't do anything for us economically. They don't do anything for us in the reason why we're here. So they're neither wise nor are they. And that's what they're saying. They say, take a good look at what you believe, because you've been taught, and we want to get that taught. You want to take that away from you and make you stop and think. But stop and think, why are you electing anybody but your next door neighbor? Or why aren't you running? Well, I'm not as smart as... Come on. Those people aren't smart. They're just smart. They know how to get the money out of your billfold. You're not going to take the money out of somebody's billfold. You're going to get these things accomplished. You're going to get the dike. Now we're going to start building the dike, but we're going to start over here and, we'll be done in 10 years. There's no game player that's going to do that, we'll tell you. You get the idea. The school bureaucracy will need to use the best and proven techniques to accomplish the thing that they're laid out to do. Thus, any technique must be evaluated in terms of its effectiveness in helping the student learn. And with the tester, there's the unbiased method of determining the effectiveness. The focus here is learning and teaching. The focus is not grades, not buildings, not sports programs, not teachers' politics, and not parents' bragging rights. Do not, however, think we dismiss the sports program, or band for that matter. There are things learned in those two arenas that cannot be taught anywhere else. Home activities and repair now will be taught as a child is being raised and put into school. And, things like how to get along with your people, how to get along with your spouse, what marriage is all about, what life is all about, how to handle checkbooks, how to handle debt, credit cards. All those things are the things that they need to know, and we're not teaching them. All of a sudden, your things will be learning about those things that happen in real life. What a concept. The third use of the testing procedure is the evaluation of the teacher. We knew that was coming. How we ever got to the place where we are is beyond imagination. The intelligence gains was well played here. Accountability in all bureaucracies, that is what we ask for, not job security. The focus is who can teach. Who can teach? Anyone who can teach. Does that sound stupid? Who can teach? Anyone who can teach can teach. Well, we don't test to see who can teach. So they go on and say, well, what we now have in our schools seems more stupid to us, teachers who can't teach being paid the highest wage because they were there the longest. Professors that don't even want to teach being forced to teach because the university then can justify his or her presence. Only then can he or she go on with the research and writing, which was the true reason for being there in the first place. We talked about that with poor professors. We could go on, but you get the idea. So what are we telling you? We're telling you that there are people out there who can teach. We need to find them. We need to get them in the school system, and we need to compensate them accordingly for their abilities. The ability to teach our student. Do you know what that means? That means an 18-year-old may be the highest paid person on the staff. That means a 70-year-old person may apply for a teaching position, have no experience, and get the job. You see all the time these preconceived ideas of what a teacher is and so on and so forth. And you're not testing for the right things because the game players have said this equals this and that equals that and then this equals and so that equals that. No, they don't. When you look at them, you say, no, wait a minute, those aren't equal. How does a degree equal the ability to teach? It doesn't. It doesn't even come close. It doesn't mean that they have the ability to teach. It means that their parents are wealthy. It means they cheated on the test. Or it might mean they can teach. You know, if it doesn't have a locked meaning, it's a useless piece of paper. And that is what they're trying to point out to you. If it doesn't have the meaning that you want, it's a useless piece of paper. So stop looking at the paper and start looking at what you want and test. They say, no, that means that no color, no age, no experience, no preconceived types will be excluded from teaching until he or she has been proven to have no ability. That means that a lot of teachers and college students will not be teaching. We're looking for teachers who can teach so that a student will learn that which we have determined is needed. That's what we were aiming for when we started. Let's get rid of the games and get on with education. Now there you are. See, they have said that there's errors all the way through the entire school system. They've laid out and listed the errors, and they didn't tell you that they have to have more money. Now you can say what you want about all these other tests and research and trying to find out what's wrong with school systems, but I'm going to tell you, it's right there. It's right there in plain black and white, and if you take it and use it and go with it, all of a sudden our students will start knowing how to live life. There might be people in science that are smarter, and there might be people in math that are better, but I'll tell you that our children in the United States will know how to live. What a difference that would be. So then they come to the question of what we should be teaching. What should we be teaching? And they say we've covered who should teach and how we should test those teachers and the students, I guess. Now we need to go into the subject of just what to teach. What are we supposed to be teaching? Just what are we going to teach our children to give them the best chance for a successful life as a monkey with a soul on its back, which is, as you already know, the way they see the human being. First, you have to understand that it's always advertised to you and has always been advertised to you that if you want to get ahead in life, you need to go to college and get a good job. Now, if they advertise, who we talking about, the overchargers, if they're advertising to you that it's a good thing to go to college and get a job, it's probably wrong. So let's take a look at it. As we say all the time, if you go to college, you understand it's they who gave this work that is saying it. So the we have is them. And they say, as we say all the time, if you go to college or any university and stay the course, in other words, pass, get a degree, you will become a corporate pool employee. that's discussed below, so we, the one that gave us this, will not go into it here. However, just what is the good job they talk about? In truth, it's a good paying job. So what they want you to believe is that if you become a good corporate pool employee, they, the overchargers, will pay you a bonus to do the dirty work. And do you understand? The dirty work is a lifetime thing for your job, and every day? No. But, it might be only one time in the whole of the time you're employed that you have to do something that you don't want to do. But ultimately, somewhere up and down the line, you will be asked to do something that you know is wrong, and you'll do it because you've been well paid. We talked about that before, that the CEOs who do, major terrible stuff in their corporate businesses, they pass down major rotten things that other people have to do, and because they do that, they get tremendous bonuses and CEO pay and all that. So we pointed that out, and it's just added on to you as a college graduate or a well-educated person, that you will at some point in time do the dirty work, and you'll be well paid. So that's the first thing that you got to understand. Second, and as you see now, that money they paid you as a bonus to get you to do as they wished became your retirement nest egg. What happened to that bonus? Down the road, when you became ready to retire, they, the overchargers, took it away from you. They stole it from you. They stole it from you and your children and your grandchildren, it would appear. So in truth, you have to understand, you didn't get the bonus. You didn't get the bonus they paid you to do the rotten things that they got you to do. Well, how about the third thing? The third thing is the question of just what is a good job? Is it one where you have to leave your better half for weeks and travel to other places to do your work? Well, what did they say? It's always good to, because they do everything so quick and they don't just throw it at you and walk away, kind of. Who's your better half? Can be your husband, can be your wife, can be your partner, male, female. It's the family. You're leaving your family to do your work, and you could be going for all of the week and weekends back, or maybe 2 weeks, or who knows? You're gone too long, so you're away from your family. They're paying you a bonus to be away from your family, and then they take it away from you when you're ready to retire and be with your family. When you get to the point where you start to view it the way they view it, you begin to say, hey, number one, they're right. And number two, they're right. And number three, they're right. That they pay me this tremendous amount of money, and I'm ready to retire and finally get back with my family, which is what I wanted in the first place. What was I told? Oh, if you have the money, then you give the money to your family and they'll be happy. Bull, I'm sorry, but absolute bull. Total bull. Being with the people that you care about, that's far more important than your stupid job, but that's something that you got to learn. Now they turn it around and they say, they say, is your job where you have to work too many hours that you're getting paid for, you understand? That they take away down the road, you understand? You get extra money for the hours you're working so that you don't have a life with your family. You can't be with the people that you care about. You just have the money and you hand it to them, and they're supposed to be happy and you're happy. And, if you want to do it, fine. I kind of wonder how many people really want to do it. How about you got a job where you sit in a cubicle all day shuffling papers or talking on the phone to useless people doing useless things because you're told to? That sounds familiar? And then they want to turn it around and they say, is it working at home? And you understand that at least 1/3 of the jobs that are done in the United States today could be done at home. And the problem is that the reason that you're not doing it at home is because they want to be a boss, and they can't be a boss if you're at home and they're at their building, wherever it is. So if you had a job that you're working at home with your family and taking time off to eat with them and working a little later if need be, or perhaps working a little less because there was nothing to do at the time, what does that look like for a job? Almost every job could be made better if the overchargers no longer have their way. So what is a better job? Think about what just think about it. Think about what you do and how much of what you do is related to someone being the boss rather than making it a good job for you. The same work done, the same results, or perhaps even better work done and better results because you like your job. That's the possibility, but we don't do that because somebody has to be the boss. You see what if you're going to go to college and spend the money to get a better job, you really kind of need to know what a better job is, and then you have to demand that you get a better job, and then you also might demand that you keep the money, and of course we got rid of these game playing things above, so it's going to be a lot harder to take your money, but they'll try. And so they say, let's go on to what we should be teaching in the new school and universities. You're going to get a new job, a better job, because you're going to the university, you're going to get a degree. But they ask you, to take a look at what you're being taught. Have you ever heard someone say you just don't understand? Come on, you've heard it many times, and almost always in a crisis mode of some sort. Why do we hear that phrase so often? Do we have a schoolroom you're walking down the hall and you look at these schoolrooms? Schoolroom labeled Understanding Another Person 101. How about Relationships 101? Raising Children 101. Marriage 101. How to Handle Credit 101. Your Body and How to Keep It Healthy 101. Cooking or House Maintenance 101. Having Fun 101. Enough said? And then they just give you this little thing. They mention having fun. And they said a hint. In a world with new toys that just never end, you would soon choose none with no person to care. A block of wood would do quite well then, if you had just one friend to share. It's a thought. So they say in this curriculum called life, let us give you a few more thoughts. No religion in the school? That was one of their best. Don't teach my children Buddhism. He's a Christian. Keep religion out of government. And don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. Look at me, the great Wizard of Oz. Let's get it straight. First, it would be wonderful if we could see so well that this work could be taught in school, this work. But, those who understand would get out, and there would be many, because if it's taught in school. The doors would be open, and all save those who wanted to be gods would leave this cursed place and allow the doors to be closed forever. Then the fallen one and all of his minions would be able to play in this field, and they could play their tremendous games that they get to play where they're the boss or they're the god. And they could do it behind closed doors for an eternity, but alone. And, they say so much for the dream. Let's wake up and get into real life. Would the fallen one allow us to slip out so easily? Would we be allowed to just understand and leave this trap to it? Could it be closed behind the doors forever to play Dominion games with who? What they're going to play with is the other God wannabes. And, it sounds like, maybe those who gave this information were totally against the Dominion people, the God wannabe people, but they're not really. You get to the end of Book 4 and they recommend, they're saying, you're going the wrong place. You're going the wrong, you're looking at the wrong thing. You're focused on the wrong thing. You need to do this other thing. And when you hear what the other thing is and you look at it, you say, wow, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And how come they didn't know that? And, it's like it takes all the Dominion players focus off of you and taking money from you and on to what they really should be doing in the first place. So are the people that gave this, are they against the God wannabes? No. They just say, you just don't understand what you should be doing. And that's at the end of Book 4, so you got something to look forward to. If everybody got out, it would only be the Dominion that he could play with. So we're pretty sure that the fallen one's not going to let this get into the schools, or at least it's going to be a real struggle. So you know that you got a real struggle on your hands, and as you begin to take advertising away and you kind of blinders off and your speaker phones off your ears, and you begin to see life as it really is, you start to say, wait a minute, why are we teaching our kids this and why are we teaching our kids that? So there's no question that the battle will be engaged, and we'll have to fight for each little step that we make that would bring us to that understanding. That being so, many will be left here for the next 2,000 years. They need the seeds of the next growth period, as discussed in Book 3. Let us plant those seeds then. What did they say there? They said that the next step in the steps that we're dealing with in this life is the one, the next step is knowledge, or knowing things, or information, so that you understand what really happened. That's the next phase. So all those things that are related to knowing more and knowledge will come into your life, and those things that were related to faith and those kind of things are going to go out of your life, because we're moving into the next phase. And they say that the seeds of this next growth period, this next thing that's coming, let's plant them now. So they say, so we come back to the question of what will we teach? What are we going to teach those who are left? Understanding the resistance to be encountered. We'll teach them to read and write, understanding that there will be two languages this time, because we have a universal language and our country's language. They will learn both English and the universal or world language of trade and travel. The universal of trade and travel was discussed in the economic chapter of Book 4. They will learn mathematics and science, history, the true test of any teacher will be taught. But they say their history is tough. It's tough for a teacher to. You get history teachers that are really good teachers, and the history starts to get. They don't teach dates and names and things. They teach history. They teach this is what actually happened, and it gets to be kind of exciting then. But history, the true test of any teacher, will be taught. Then comes philosophy and religion, comparative and complete, with nothing left out because some group complains, and nothing emphasized because the teacher is not biased. Teach religion in the school? They say, no, teach history, the history and content of each religion, allowing a choice on the basis of knowledge, not force. The separation of religion and the government was originally meant to protect the government from religion. Now we've turned it around, have the government protecting religion practices. Keep religion out of government, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and all that. You remember that story that Christ said. Religion and government really haven't got a whole lot to do with each other, supposedly. So what they say is the need here is to teach religion and all religions, and teach its history, its tenets, its practices. Then if you feel you must teach your child as his or her parent why your religion is better, you do that at home or in the church where it should have been done in the first place. If you can't see that need, perhaps your religion can't hold up to the scrutiny of truth. Perhaps you should take a course yourself to be sure that you believe what is truly what you believe. What they say there? They said teach religion as all religions now. You teach them as a kind of a history course. You tell who did it, who did what happened, what are their beliefs, what are their this, what are their that. So now Now the child has all these religions in his head, and then they say, if you feel you must teach your child as his or her parent, your child, because you're the parent, why your religion is better, do it at home, or do it in the church where it should have been done in the first place. In other words, those things that lean a specific direction aren't in school. You got to do that at home or in your church. They're not in school, but the history is, the understanding of it is. And then they say, if you can't see that that would be a good thing, maybe you should go back and take a course in the history of religions yourself, just to make darn sure that you believe what you think you believe. And then they say, okay, now then comes a course called Life. The course Life includes these components, the handling of money in all forms, like, for instance, checking accounts, credit cards, bank credit, budgeting versus spending, looking at advertisements and realizing what they are, calculating the true cost. Make sure you understand that shipping charges can add a lot to something you're buying, and prioritizing. What are they going to teach you? It'd be like home economics. The teaching of the handling of money in all its forms? Wow. Do we need that? I mean, come on. Does your child need that? Why aren't they teaching that in school? I mean, the first thing that happens, your child's credit goes all to hell because they don't have a clue what they're doing, and they got this credit card, and they can buy this and they can buy that now, and they don't have to wait. And how to handle money. Second part, how to handle relationships with other people. How to handle relationships with other people? Would that be a course? I mean, there are some people that do it automatically, no problem at all. They just are the nicest people you ever saw. And then there are some people that think they especially this generation, we're talking about 2014, this generation that's young now, they honestly think that they deserve everything and they need, why aren't you giving it to them? And they have to work? No way. I mean, come on, everything should be given to me and blah, blah, blah. Well, okay, go to school and have somebody teaching you. No, that is not how it works. If everybody had everything given to them, who'd be making? It's your parents and grandparents right now, but who would be making if you're all taken? Common sense. Get the advertising out of your head. So how to handle personal relationships with other people, not how to manipulate and control, but how to negotiate and determine each other's needs. Going to teach what a woman is, what a man is, what a marriage is, what is how do you going to get along with a woman or a man in your life? What is that all about? And the truth, not these fairy tale things that good old Walt Disney gave you, not those real life. Even if you had the woman or the man of your dreams, 2 years from now, you got to deal with that person that changed into a human being. Maybe if you recognize, if your teacher was saying, do you understand this beautiful woman's going to change into a human being at some time, or this wonderful, handsome man is going to end up having needs and problems, and you're going to have to deal with that, and how are you going to do that, and so on and so forth. So those things are going to be taught in school. I mean, what a concept, taught in school. And they say you might as well go to that course yourself, since few, if any, truly can see through the lies that courtship and society demand we believe. There is that possibility that we may yet be able to get to that truth in Book 5. Book 5, see? Basically, what they said there is that there are tremendous lies in the field of love and courtship and personal relationships. And the biggest concept that they try to, and that would go into book 5, the biggest concept they're trying to get across to you is that what you do is when you're young, they look at you, your body, as a car. And they say that you honestly believe that your car is you. So you honestly believe that your body is you. And what they always say is, when 2 years down the road, that person's going to get out of that car. And you got to deal with the person. So 2 years from now, that beautiful body, whatever it is, this way or that way, is not going to be all that relevant. It's going to be the person. So you have to deal with the person. So like the person gets out of the car and you actually talk to the driver instead of, that concept of the car is me goes on to the house is me and my job is me and, you. What about you? You can be the most beautiful person in the world and 2 years down the road you're a human being. They got used to you. Book 5. So they say, what about teaching how to care for, water, and feed children? Of course, sorely needed in this me society. What do they say there? We've focused on the fact that children are extremely important in Book 4, and we focused on the need for one of the two parents to one of the adult parents to raise those children. And we're even willing to pay for it because it's that important. And so now they turn around and say, let's go back to the school and say, how do you take care for, water, and feed children? Is this course that was really needed because we're in a me society. We just got through talking about everything should be given to me, but what are you going to do when you have kids? Everything should be handed out to me on a silver platter. What are you going to do when you have kids? It needs to be taught in the school. Both of them. You're not handed on a silver platter. You got to work for your sustenance just like everybody else does. And that's what they're saying in Book 4 constantly. And then they say, well, okay, now we've got all those things covered, but the last but not the least comes how to have fun with your friends for less. And here they say, we might suggest an understanding of how to have fun. How do you have fun? And here's one of those things that they do every once in a while. They do a little poetry. They say, in a world with new toys that just never ends, you would soon choose none if there was no person to care. A block of wood would do quite well then, if you could just have one friend to share. And so, with all the toys that you have, if you're by yourself, it's not good. You need other people. So, they say, then they go on and say, is the course on life mandatory? Yes, in both cases. But both cases, life is mandatory in life, and life will be mandatory in the class. Will there be more? Is there going to be more that we have to put in school? We hope so. Given time and learning that which is taught in the school should change often. Testing, both in the school and when the student gets out into life, should validate or invalidate any course. Because you are testing and expecting the school bureaucracy to perform, it will or it will be cut. Again, don't allow the sheller do-gooders to teach this course. This is life in all of its complexities and not utopia land. We need people who know how to deal with all aspects of all kinds of lives here. Make it so. Do not allow the game players in here anymore. What do they say constantly? What do they say? Do not let the game players come into the school system. Do not let the because they'll teach you how to give your money to them. They'll teach you how to live a life of slavery so that they and their children can live wonderful lives. Get them out of your school system and keep them out.